This is song 2, Second Opinions. Snatch the compliment and run with it. Enjoy your respite on the ground. Before the jury meets, riots breed. The mercy and the contraband. The sympathetic demon smile. Tame this hell to mirror faith. Survival asymmetrical. History now up for grabs. For a second opinion, valued more than the victim, Valium vindictive, validate the vision, cardboard antennas, alien deception, improvise the rest, for a rebel's wisdom, and a second opinion. Who wants to sway the sunbeam? Reset when the waves devour. Walk out with both legs on fire. Cruising with no weight to bear. Alright, that verse 2 I got a little off on that one. Excuse me. Who wants to sway the sunbeam? Reset when the waves devour. Walk out with both legs on fire. Cruising with no weight to bear. Who wants to suspend all logic? Like the mass debated. Who keeps the flame redundant? Like the mass paraded. That's verse 3 and 4. I might have lost the track of how the verse melody goes there a little, but I think it's similar to that. Then you go back to the chorus again, and the chorus is kind of more aggressive. For a second opinion, valued more than the victim. Valium vindictive. Validate the vision. Cardboard antennas. Alien deception. Improvise the rest. For a rebel's wisdom. And a second opinion. Maybe there's a bass solo there. I'm hearing like kind of the Red Hot Chili Peppers bass there. So I'm gonna have to include a Red Hot Chili Pepper song. As soon as I hear something, I feel like I have to document what I'm hearing in my head. I did this recording differently because I didn't want to forget how the song goes. So I handled the music element first. And a second opinion. Like, that's very Rage Against the Machine. I hear the De La Roca if I'm saying his name right, De La Roca, or I think that's how you say it. I hear his voice, and a second opinion. So there's a bit of Rage Against the Machine in this. I'm going back to the 90s because at first all I heard was Rage and Deftones and Fugazi a little. I just listened to a podcast about some photographer who documented early punk scene in DC. And let me give him credit. Jim Saw, is that his name? 13 songs with Jim Saw. I'll share that podcast on Spotify or wherever you get it from. It's called DC Rock History. I don't know. It seemed interesting, so I gave it a listen this morning. I like Fugazi. I didn't grow up with it. I didn't know Fugazi until way later in my life when I got into more hardcore stuff. I never even knew Minor Threat and Fugazi was connected when I was a teenager, and I first listened to Minor Threat a little. But that stuff never connected to me because I was all into Blink-182, like I said before. But I'm getting more involved, more immersed in the hardcore stuff of the 80s now in my 40s, which is kind of odd, but that's just how my path went, so I'm going with it. I didn't even know Dead Kennedys until a couple years ago. I just thought they were just some other forgettable band, and then completely fell in love with that band. Yeah, so it's weird how my punk rock exploration has gone throughout my life. But I guess it makes sense. I don't think it's that unusual because I grew up with the Green Day and Offspring and Blink. I didn't grow up with the hardcore stuff or the more angsty, more anarchic. Is that the right way to say that? The anarchy. I didn't grow up with that stuff. So it's weird to get into it now, but I just love the music. And Fugazi connected with me. I went through their discography a couple years ago, so I put them down as a influence on this song as well. But this song took a weird leap. At first, I wanted it to be just Rage Against the Machine and Deftones. Deftones is another band I didn't really love as a teenager. I tried to develop more of a connection to Deftones. I like a lot of their stuff, but I'm not a huge knowledgeable fan, so I can't really speak of Deftones. But they have a unique type of ambience to their music. It's a heavy ambience, almost shoegaze, but it's heavier, and I respect that. The guitar sounds really unique and everything. I just never really connected with Deftones as much as some other bands because I was all into more happy music, I guess, in a way. And Deftones, it's not depressing music, it's just more aggressive, I guess. I wouldn't put it in the same category as like bands of the 90s like Korn and, well, I don't know anything about Slipknot. I don't know any songs by them. But I did experience Korn because that was like popular. Insane Clown Posse. I was like a big fan of the Great Milenko when that came out that summer. Great Milenko. I remember doing like a report in high school about Insane Clown Posse and like freedom of speech and all that stuff, stupid shit. But yeah, I can respect any musical, I was gonna say movement. Is Insane Clown Posse a musical movement? They had their moment in time though. Like they were pretty big. They almost went pretty mainstream. Because I remember a lot of people listening to that album, and they're still going. They have a crazy loyal fan base, so you got to respect that. I don't know really any of their stuff besides that one album. Because it was kind of funny and stupid when you're 15, 14, whatever I was. So there's a lot of different influences throughout my teenage years when I was developing what kind of music do I really like, and I'm not just trying to act cool or be a poser and so other people accept me. What music do I really like? Maybe I didn't really get there until later, but I would say Face to Face and Pennywise and all that stuff was the music I really selected because I like the upbeat, high energy, and I still do. So that was more what I was in tune with. And maybe I didn't explore enough stuff growing up that I should have, but it was tougher back then. But anyway, this song, it still has the Jack White element because I was saying the reason I mentioned Deftones, this song was originally like a Deftones song when I first imagined it. Snatch the compliment and run. Ding-dong. Enjoy your respite underground. I was gonna sing it more like 90s 90s metal, new metal, like that Rage and Deftones sound. But I was like, I've done that. I don't want to go back to that. I want to make happy, bluesy music in the Jack White vein on this album because it's more fun. I listened to a Black Crowes podcast, somebody dissecting maybe their latest album, and there's some angry songs about maybe the people in the bands had some band members had disagreements and one of the members left. And I think there was a couple songs about that, just that, or maybe somebody wrote a book about talking some shit on the Black Crowes. Maybe a former member of the band. I don't know. I don't know enough. I forget. But they were saying how the songs are kind of vitriolic and full of this vengeful hatred almost. But the songs are so catchy and upbeat and more uplifting, even if it's about kind of less than happy subject matter. If it's something that's more full of hatred or envy or just any kind of angst, but they do it in a way that's still happy and upbeat. It's like the Beatles' Taxman. Like, it's such a happy song,